You meet someone new today, maybe at work, maybe in line for coffee. Before they finish their sentence, before you know their name, your brain has already decided something about them. Trustworthy or not, safe or not, friend or threat, it takes less time than a single heartbeat. And the strange part is, you have no idea it happened. This isn't intuition, it isn't magic. It's a leftover survival system, running quietly under everything you do. Scientists have a name for it now. They call it thin slicing. The idea that your brain can take a tiny slice of information, a face, a voice, a posture, and build a surprisingly accurate judgment from almost nothing. Psychologist Nalini Ambady, working with Robert Rosenthal, showed this in a now-famous study. They gave people silent video clips of teachers, just a few seconds long, no sound at all. Then they asked viewers to rate how effective each teacher seemed. Those snap judgments lined up closely with evaluations from students who had spent an entire semester with that teacher. A few seconds of silence predicted months of experience. Why would your brain do this? Why would it gamble everything on a glance? Because for most of human history, a glance was all you got. Your ancestors didn't live in a world of background checks and social media profiles. They lived in small bands, often fewer than 150 people, a number popularized by anthropologist Robin Dunbar and now known as Dunbar's number. In a group that size, every face mattered. Every stranger was a question mark. Is this person kin? Is this person dangerous? Is this person going to share food or take it? There was no time to deliberate. Hesitation could mean missing a chance to bond. It could also mean missing a warning sign. So the brain evolved a shortcut: judge fast, adjust later if needed. That shortcut never left you. It just changed its battlefield. Psychologist Alexander Todorov at Princeton spent years studying exactly how fast this judgment happens. In one striking study with Janine Willis in 2006, participants were shown unfamiliar faces for just 1/10 of a second, a flash, barely longer than a blink. And still, they confidently rated each face on trustworthiness, competence, and likability. Giving people more time to look, even up to several seconds, barely changed their answers. The verdict was already in. The extra time was just used to feel more certain about a decision the brain had already made. Think about that for a second. Your slowest, most careful thinking brain isn't the one making first impressions. A much older, much faster system is doing that job, and it doesn't wait for permission. So what is it actually looking at? Faces, mostly. Specific features, in fact. Todorov's research found that certain facial structures consistently read as more trustworthy: slightly raised eyebrows, a hint of a smile, wider eyes. Faces with these traits resemble expressions of happiness or surprise, emotions your brain associates with low threat. Meanwhile, faces with lowered brows and tightened mouths tend to resemble anger, and anger reads as danger. None of this means the person actually is trustworthy or dangerous. It only means their resting face happens to echo an emotional expression your ancestors learned to react to. You're not reading character, you're reading geometry. Geometry your brain mistakes for character. This is where it gets uncomfortable. Because if a snap judgment can be wrong, and it often is, why does it still feel so convincing? The answer lies in how confidence and accuracy are two completely different things inside your brain. Evolution didn't reward perfect judgment. It rewarded fast judgment that was right often enough to keep you alive. A slightly inaccurate but instant read on a stranger beat a perfectly accurate read that arrived too late, after the danger had already passed or after the opportunity for alliance had already walked away. Speed had survival value. Precision was a luxury your ancestors usually couldn't afford. And there's a deeper twist. This system isn't only judging strangers, it's also shaping how strangers experience you. Researchers studying nonverbal behavior, including work building on Paul Ekman's foundational studies of facial expression, have shown that humans are remarkably consistent at reading micro-expressions, tiny, almost involuntary muscle movements that flash across a face in a fraction of a second, a flicker of contempt, a half second of fear. You may not consciously register seeing it, but some part of you does, and it adjusts your behavior accordingly, often before you've formed a single conscious thought about the person in front of you. So picture it. Two people meet. Each one's ancient threat detection system is scanning the other's face in real time, completely outside awareness, both of them convinced they're simply getting a feeling about the other. Neither realizes they're running a survival algorithm forged over hundreds of thousands of years in a world where the wrong call could mean exile or worse. Now bring this into your modern life. You scroll through a stranger's photo before a first date. You glance at someone's LinkedIn headshot before an interview. You watch the first 3 seconds of someone speaking on a video call. In every case, this same ancient mechanism fires. Not because you're shallow, not because you're judgmental, because this is simply how your species has always evaluated who is safe to approach. But here's the twist your ancestors never had to deal with. Their world was small. A face you misjudged was a face you'd see again tomorrow and the next day, giving you a chance to correct the error through real experience. Your world is enormous. You meet hundreds, maybe thousands of unfamiliar faces a year, many of them only once, in a photo, on a screen, in a single passing interaction. The correcting mechanism, the slow process of getting to know someone over time, often never gets the chance to run. The snap judgment becomes the only judgment, which means an entire hiring decision, an entire first date, an entire business deal can sometimes hinge on a feature of bone structure that has nothing to do with someone's actual character. Does that unsettle you a little? It should. But there is something useful hiding inside this discomfort. Once you know the system exists, you can start to notice it operating. You can catch the moment you decide you don't trust someone you've known for 4 seconds. You can pause before turning that flicker of a feeling into a real decision. Researchers in social cognition often point out that awareness alone doesn't shut off the snap judgment. It can't. The system is too old, too automatic, too wired into how your brain processes faces in general. But awareness gives you something almost as powerful. A second step, a chance to ask, is this read about who they are or about how their face happens to be built? There's something oddly humbling in all of this. The thing you call instinct when you meet someone new isn't really about them at all. It's a message from your ancestors, replaying itself in your nervous system every single time a new face enters your field of vision. It carried real information once, in small bands, on open plains, when survival depended on reading faces correctly and quickly. Today it still fires with the same confidence, even though the world it was built for no longer exists. So the next time you meet someone, and within seconds you feel like you already know whether to trust them, remember what's actually happening. You're not reading their soul, you're running code that's older than language, older than agriculture, older than almost everything you'd call civilization. And somewhere inside that flash of judgment is a faint echo of every ancestor who ever stood face to face with a stranger and had to decide in an instant whether to run, to fight, or to stay. You meet someone new today, and before they finish their sentence, your ancestors already answered for you.